All right. Well, next we have our presenter is Ivonne Kinser. She's Avocados from Mexico's head of digital marketing and e-commerce. And Yvonne has been 20 years plus. She's played leadership roles on both the brand and agency side. And the last 7, she's been with AFM. And she's also there. The AFM is known for their quirky, celebrity-filled Super Bowl ads. They're always taking risks, which is how they stand out with such larger competition. And welcome, Yvonne. Hey.
Hi, how are you guys?
Uh,
I'm trying to share actually, but okay, now I cannot share what somebody else is sharing. How are you? Thank you for the invite and very happy to be here.
oh, good. Well, I'm gonna have to ask now, is this a digital background too, or is this?
It's a digital background. Actually, I'm going to change it right now. I'm in my office, but I was yesterday. We work from home 2 days per week, 3 days per week actually, and I use the background when I at home, but now I'm at the office so I can change.
Oh, well, I like that. And I have to, before I want to let you get started, but before I do, I have to congratulate you again for Fast Company's #1 innovator in branding category. You guys got the top spot, so that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, just
Thank you so much. Yeah, very proud of that recognition.
Yeah, and now people will see why. Okay, I'll leave it to you.
Thank you, thank you. Sorry, my background is not as fancy as the virtual, but happy to be here anyways with you guys. So to start, give you a little bit of background on our organization. Organization was created in 2014 as the marketing arm of 2 parent organizations that are the growers of avocados in Mexico and the importers and distributors and packers of avocados from Mexico here in the US. So that was in 2014. In 2017, Adweek was already saying, they published an article saying that avocado from Mexico in 3 years only had boasts one of the most dramatic and impressive rises to prominence in recent marketing history. Then after that, as you just mentioned, in 2021, actually this year, we made the list of Fast Company most innovative companies in the world. And that was, can you imagine the companies that were there? So were there with companies like Ford Motors and Moderna and Google, etc. And we were also, but even more impressive, the recognition was that we were top 1 in the branding category. And we were competing for that category with TikTok, for example. And I think that is because of the unexpected nature of our product to be in that kind of list. That is very impressive. But how we have accomplished that type of things and those recognitions. And when I look back into what we have done through all these years, I see a combination always of innovation that is rooted in our organization is rooted in innovation and is in our DNA, but also creativity, which is not the same as innovation, but it's a way to innovate, but also technology, the integration of technology and data and the application of data. So I want to talk a little bit about how we combine all these elements in the platforms that we launch and we build, the campaigns that we craft. And when I talk to my team at the beginning of the year, when we start planning, what are we going to do this year? What are we going to do for the Super Bowl? What are we going to do for the big campaigns that we participate in that are very, very, very competitive? I always start by making a clarification of where do we have to put our focus? What do we have to search for those ideas that will help us to craft those campaigns that break through? And I divide that into areas. One is the trends. The trends are impermanent. They are they offer a really good fertile soil to seed or message and to break through, but they are impermanent. They may fade. That doesn't mean that are not great, that we say those trends, what they are there, because it really help to push our message through. And then there's the forces. The forces are different. Those are permanent. Those have a transformational power, and basically they change the way consumers interact with the world and the way brands interact with consumers. Just to give you an example of the difference, because it's very, sometimes we tend to confuse one of the other ones. So a very clear example is what we're seeing right now with cryptocurrency, for example, or crypto and blockchain. So crypto is the trend that may fade at some point, but blockchain is the force, is here to stay and to change the way we interact with in any industry. Basically, it changed the way we live. And that is important to have that difference, because as a marketers, and that's what we do when we start planning or short-term and long-term strategies, we look into these two, and we're going to see examples of both. We played a lot within the trends to have that breakthrough effect in campaigns like the Super Bowl, for example. And this is what we get for in a couple of years ago. We were the first brand ever to put an Super Bowl ad in the blockchain. And if you remember, that was the year where Donald Trump had also a TV spot in the Super Bowl. And consumers talk about the commercials in the Super Bowl. So we were the most talked about brand among all the brands. And we're talking about the multi-million-dollar companies and multi-billion-dollar companies and brands that are very well established, like the Coca-Colas, Pepsi, Budweiser, etc. I was looking at the trivia, Jeep, and all these companies, and we were the most talked about brand. Now, we didn't beat Donald Trump in the conversation, but that was perfectly fine with us at that point, because within the brands group, we were number one, and it's honestly very difficult to beat Donald Trump at Twitter with so much popularity, but we were very, very satisfied with the results. And what it gave us those results was the use of blockchain in a very unexpected way in our campaign. And then the previous years we have seen this every single year. Actually, Avocados from Mexico won the Super Bowl, and this has been only driven by the digital campaigns. The most talked about of the Super Bowl, that was a different year, that was 2018. So every single year consistently we have been leading the Super Bowl conversation in the social media platforms and with our digital campaign. So, a lot of people say or question or are curious about how a small brand like us decided to go into the Super Bowl and pay millions of dollars for a spot. And if you ask our CEO, he will say, well, the TV spot is just an excuse for us to launch a very, very robust digital campaign and a PR activation. And it boils down to the point that we needed to be in the Super Bowl. And because the Super Bowl for Avocados from Mexico is what we call a moment of truth. So what are those moments of truth where if you don't do anything else, you have to be there, because it's that moment when the consumer mind is yours to lose it. And how I explain that is when a consumer is watching the Super Bowl, there's few brands in front of that consumer. There's probably not a Jeep in front of them. There was, like four motors. There's not a car in front of them. There's not an airline in front of them, but there's beer, there's sodas, there's snacks, and there's guacamole. So if the guacamole is which is made with our product, is in front of that user that is watching the game, we needed to be there. And the time proof and the result proved of right. And this is numbers from this past year. You can take a guess how many pounds of avocados were sold in the week of the Super Bowl. And that number was 78 million pounds of avocados only in the US in the week of the Super Bowl. And that was, even during the pandemic, a historical record. So when we look at that number, as we start from 2014, we see the curve going up and up and up. And in the 4 weeks going to the Super Bowl, we had 277 million pounds of avocados sold in only 4 weeks. That's an impressive number. And also, again, I have to say, within the pandemic, in the middle of the pandemic, historical record. And so that's in the side of the trends. So Super Bowl, yes, is embedded in the American culture, but I consider it a trend. It's a very, very long trend. Again, part of the culture, but it's still a trend. It can stop at some point. It can fade at some point. Not likely, but it is. But now, what is next is how we look into the forces to have that permanent success, or build something that is going to be permanent. And one of the most, I will say, the force that are at the top right now is artificial intelligence, machine learning. So it's based data, of course. So it's basically because of the amount of data that we marketers have to manage today, we need computational power to understand that data and to analyze it and to activate that data. So that's what is coming into place: artificial intelligence and machine learning. So that's what we're doing now in this, I will say, next phase of Avocados from Mexico. We built a intelligent platform that we call Avocado Nation. Avocado Nations have 3 key areas, but it is actually built with our consumer data platform at its core, which means that every activity that happens on the sites, every interaction of our consumers with the site is recorded by the machine, is analyzed. We have right now over 1 billion data points. We have over 100 million users within our platform, and the machine is just analyzing the information and the behavior and identifying patterns and making predictions, so we can personalize the content according to the preferences of the specific consumer. So there has 3 areas. One is a shopping section, which we're launching collections of clothes as a way to communicate our messages in a very distinctive, unique, original ways. The second section is our the first loyalty program that we have launched, and the third one is Avocado Studios. And I'm going to explain what it is, each of them, in the next slides. So again, like I mentioned, Avocado Shopping Network, we came to we have the idea that what can we develop? What type of asset can we develop to communicate our message, like health and wellness and that type of messages, without having to have an ad? So we create conversations about health and wellness and sports and wellness in general. And we saw the opportunity. It was about 90 million consumers that practice different sports, female, which is our target demographic in the United States. We identified also, speaking about trends, that the avocado clothing is a trend. So why don't we launch clothing line, and within the excitement and the sharing of that conversation, we communicate our messages. At the same time, everything, the preferences, the sharing, the interactions are being recorded by our data platform, and that data is activated. So the second one is Avocado Nation Studios. So we have right now about 200 videos. We plan to have about 300 videos. We call it the Netflix of avocados. And the reason is because the inspiration came from the way Netflix manages their consumer data to be able to predict what are the preferences in terms of content of the viewers on the platform. And we model, or small platform, it's not the size of Netflix, but we model the back end of the platform and the way we tag the videos and the way we collect the data based on the idea of Netflix. So we have short videos, long videos, funny videos, documentaries, factual, and the machine with each interaction is analyzing what consumer prefers what kind of video. We consider those videos pilots, and with the information that we get, the data that we get, and the insights that we get, that gave us direction for what are the type of contents that all consumers on our platform prefer, because we can have a target demographic, but that target demographic may have different preferences from one brand to the other one. So we're talking about highly personalized approach to personalize the content for all audiences. So when I talk about the Netflix, the way they manage data give them so much power that and one very clear example is that they paid $100 million for one of the most successful original series before they even tested. The networks usually test the content before they produce, but they went all in and producing. And they have 70% success rate versus 35% success rates of other content producers. And that is because the way they manage the data. And that's what we wanted to do with a video platform, to understand the preference of our consumers. The next area is our loyalty program. So we develop our own tool with OCR capabilities, optical character recognition, kind of the same that facial recognition recognize faces. Optical character recognition recognizes everything that is in this receipt. For example, the Walmart receipt, like retailers, location, the basket details, what other products work with avocados, how many avocados, etc. So for all consumers, in order to win or acquire the clothing from our collections, they have to collect points. They collect points by submitting their receipts. When the machine reads that there's avocados in that receipt, consumers get points. Those points are going to be exchanged by the clothing. And the only way they can have that cloth is, one, if they share online, and we give away a couple of winners per week, or if they collect enough points. So those are the three areas that are part of Avocado Nation. But when we see what this is, everything that we're doing, we're investing in our data infrastructure, we're investing in our consumer data platform. We're building this platform that is tagged left and right to give the machine enough information for the machine to make predictions. But how that works, and then is when we start measuring what matters. We stop measuring likes and shares and comments and that type of things that, yes, are indicators of some type of engagement, but what it really matters from the business perspective. And we start doing beta tests. We start doing running campaigns with the group of consumers that we can target is our core target demographic, women 25-54, but we target Facebook first party data versus Avocados from Mexico first party data, which is what the machine helped us to build right now to 100 million consumers. And we saw that even after the first year that we were running this strategy, that the cost per second on page went down by 73%. And this is very important because we want to have our consumers on our side for a much longer time than what they can see an impression on Facebook, for example, or a banner on Google. We want to bring them to the site. And when we have them there for sometimes 3, 5, 6 minutes, 10 minutes, small percentage, 30 minutes in our site. So in a world where we're paying by clicks, by 10 seconds, we pay for a video, or 30 seconds, every second counts, and we're lowering that by 73%. So the cost per session, 24% lower. The cost per page visited, because we are also, one of our metrics is more page visits and more content by consumer per visit, went down 38%, and cost per completed video, 10%. So what are we going now that we're going into, I will say, a much more mature stage of our brand and our digital practices, when we stop counting likes and we go into deep utilization of our data with technology, powering or activations or platforms and or experiences. Our goals for the future, for this coming year and beyond, is to maintain our first party data of 35 million users. We have 100 millions, but we're looking into the most valuable users within that group of consumers within our first party data. We want to continue collecting 1 billion data points per year. The more data points we have, the better we can train the machine, and we will continue to increase time on page. It is very difficult because there's a lot of elements that have to play together to keep consumers on that site for longer. It has to be with development, it has to be with content, it has to be with a lot of factors, but we're combining those toward this goal. And we are, more importantly, we have been able to build a brand in a brandless category, and to really give an example of how a product brand can build a marketing game that is more alike to CPG companies that products. So we're showing the market that we can do a different kind of marketing, even if with a fresh product. So we want to continue to disrupt the industry with the most creative and innovative marketing activations in our category. And that's what I have. I'm happy to answer any questions.
And right there, perfect time. I just wanted to make sure we were able to get in some questions. Well, this was great, Ivonne. And we do have a question here from Kofi. How do you inspire creativity?
We purposely inspire creativity. We have an innovation goal within, and actually I lead the innovation agenda for the organization. So we have, we're developing an innovation process. So the whole organization kind of work innovation in a very organized and standardized way. We have so we give them, we give them the tools to the organization, we give them the tools and so they can innovate, but also we have an planning process that is a very creative, inspiring process that lasts 6 months. And we start by really understanding the insights, all the research that we have done across the company. We have a brainstorm sessions across the organization. We have 4 big planning meetings where every group share their ideas for the next year. And we start by presenting a broad number of ideas and then narrow down. So by the end of those 6 months, we have the 10 ideas that are going to be executed for that year. But when we get to those 10 ideas, we have seen so many options, ideas. We have played with them, and that is a very, very rich creative process.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Ivonne. I mean, as you win the awards, you guys always take those risks. And so it's just hearing sort of getting behind the scenes there and hearing how the magic comes to play. It's really great. So thank you so much for presenting for us.